going afar upon the mountain, bring the longer. Sing it, folks. If you know it, sing it. This is our song. I'm so happy. Sing it, folks. This is our mission, beloved. Bringing the wanderers back to Christ through the health, medical, missionary. Sing it, saints. Hold nothing back. Cheering the faint, raising the fallen. To Jesus the way, going afar. We welcome you all to our first School of the Prophet on Medical Missionary Work Training Session. Well, beloved, with you tonight, your humble servant JL. Let me put the screen just a little bigger here. Tonight is our first night of our School of the Prophet seminar session. We have planned this 7 or 8 weeks ago, beloved. What we are going to do on our first session tonight, what I want to do tonight, beloved, I want to give you an overview of the weekend. Actually, it's going to pass the weekend. It's going to be all the way till Monday, even maybe Tuesday, if all goes well. We're going to have an overview of what's going to be discussed, what's going to be taught on that weekend. And on the second part, I'm going to give a testimony on how this whole thing, that love started between me and the medical missionary work. So to start with, let's give an overview, a quick overview of what we're going to touch on this weekend. And remember, we don't train people to sit and eat the benches. You are formed to go ahead and form and train others. That is what our mission is. Now, actually, there is 113 members as I'm speaking to you on our Facebook page. 113 members. My goal at the end of that School of the Prophet is that this number will increase to 125. Actually, I'm aiming 160, but to be realist, because we get the Gideon possibilities. You know, Gideon, they started a lot, so many of them, to end up with a few small number, because it is written and prophesied at the last work, very few good men will be engaged. And we are going to see through that seminar training session that I said at the last work, remember, at the last work, very few good men will be engaged. Now, what is the last work? Testimonies are clear, beloved. The medical excuse me, this is good for bloopers, beloved. Medical missionary line is the last line of the work, which very few good men will be engaged. This is not the seminar itself. When it comes in due time, you will have all the reference. Nothing will be said without reference. So don't worry, beloved. So as I said, I'm aiming 160 person, but because of the Gideon statistics, we're going to make it 125. 12 more or by the end of the seminar. I think that's a reasonable number, because a lot of you are going to go on the top right button, click invite, and invite all your contacts. All right. So first, I would like to give a very warm welcome to each one of you. And I would like to thank all M3A Medical Missionary Field team. missionary teams, which include Sister Claudia Reed, Sister Cindy Edward, Elder Isaac, the Elder French Evangelist Julian Kelmelo, and we have two new members joining us starting from month of June. Sister Perilous Time, that's the nickname on Facebook. You can find the Sister Perilous Time, and Matthew Murillo. Okay, so this is our team, and I want to take a moment to say thank you to that team, because without that team, saints, this program could have never been taken place. We met, I believe it was last Sabbath. We prayed again for this program to run through. And beloved, immediately after we prayed, from Sunday till about I could say Thursday, nothing but problem happened. Nothing but problem, unexpected problem happened. The devil was at work. Leading me to think maybe I should cancel this whole thing. But there is a friend, the Bible says, there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. So beloved, I pray and hope that you all will remember Sister Sandy, who stood by my side and said, no, I'm not gonna let you down. I know I'm not gonna give up on you. Sister Sandy and I had to work double. I had to take double bites to bring this through. And sometimes when I was getting overwhelmed, she's the one telling me, remember me, the last T, because we have 8 specialists. 8 specialists. They are doctors in the medical field, which goes under the acronym New Start. The last T, trust in God. Trust in God. And time will not allow me tonight because it is an overview. But if I were to take every letter of the acronym and connect them to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Bible texts, I could prove you that New Start is totally 100% biblical. So we thank Sister Sandy, because Sister Sandy is not just a sister, it is what is called an angel without wings sent from above. She was the one telling me, hey, I understand your point, but how about we go to sleep now? Temperance. New start again. So we thank, because the devil is acting hard. Thursday morning, first message I received on my cell phone. Sister Michelle Eel. Some of you may not know Sister Michelle Eel, but she is from the Third Angels Ministry. A very prolific speaker. And you know, beloved, there's one thing you should know about me. I'm not into flattery. When I say she's a very prolific speaker, a very prolific teacher, one of the best medical missionary trainer I have known. Once again, Lionel, are you doing flattery? No, I'm not doing flattery, because you ought to know, in 2015, I was truly and duly trained in the medical missionary field under the Peruvian Association. My teacher, the one giving the formation, all right, she was using all sorts of words. I just couldn't make sense of what she was saying, because the message, the teaching is supposed to be clear and simple. If you use medical term, while I'm not a doctor, how can I understand? I only understood those terms when I was linked with somebody else, because we were linked after the 6 weeks teaching and formation. We were linked on the field with medical missionary. Then I could understand what she was saying when I was seeing the others acting and doing ministry. But when I came to Sister Michelle Hill, the way she explained things, it's a gift from above. It's a gift from above. So do not think I'm talking about Sister Michelle Hill to flatter no one. As a matter of fact, Facebook sends me every now and then friends suggestion. And in one of the suggestions that happened last year, I saw Sister Michelle Hill, but it's on my cell phone. It's not on my computer where I'm talking with you. My cell phone, the screen is so small, I can barely see. All I see is a small circle and a lady. And I look at that lady, I said, mine, she looks so pious, so pious. And I say, I bet you she's a Seventh-day Adventist. I said that in my mind because, we don't bet as Christian have children of God. But I said that in my mind. I bet you she's a Seventh-day Adventist. So as I was so curious, I go to check. Sure enough, she's a Seventh-day Adventist. Not only she's a Seventh-day Adventist, the first post I saw when I go on her page was medical missionary. The first video I saw was a video of the Third Angels Ministry. So we thank the Third Angels Ministry, represented by Sister Michelle Hill, to participate with us. So beloved, this is our team. And let me tell you something about this team, beloved. I was called from ever since Alberta conference, which I was on before I come into Quebec conference, all the way to South America to plant churches. I have planted churches from scratch. As you know, for the missionary out there, it is easier to plant a church with a mother church. But oftentimes, I were to plant churches from scratch. And in order to plant church from scratch, you have to have a team. So by the grace of God, all my life in ministry, I was surrounded with wonderful, very consecrated people in teams. But I can suggest you tonight, let me confess tonight, beloved, I have never in all my life have a team like we have at M3A Medical Missionary. Powerful preacher like Sister Claudia Reed. Powerful edifier like Sister Sandy Edwards. Brother Isaac, a great medical missionary from Pure Health Fontaine Sound in Zambia. Powerful evangelist for our French section, Brother Kelmelo, Julien Kelmelo. Beloved, I have never have such a powerful team as we have. And what makes our team so powerful, beloved, because our team doesn't mean that our team, which is the best I've ever had, we don't have problems. It doesn't mean either that sometimes, for example, Sister Cindy and I don't get into a fight. It doesn't mean that. What it means that they are consecrated people. And what unites us, beloved, what unites us, what ties us together is stronger than what can divide us. And we are all tied by the same Spirit, beloved. All tied through and in Jesus Christ, which is the glue on of M3A Medical Missionary. That is why there is no leader in the group. None. No leader. Jesus is the leader. All five of us are all five individual soldiers which all have their own ministry on the sides. What unites us is stronger than what can divide us, beloved. And most of all, we are united through the Philadelphian love. We're not talking about the Laodicean love. We're talking about the Philadelphian love, beloved. So having said that, let me share with you my testimony of that love affair. I cannot say love affair because it doesn't sound right in my mind. Because my French to English, when I translate French to English in my mind, something says don't say love affair. Between me and the love for medical missionary started way back mid-1990s. And yet, I only started to practice, to be in the field in 2015. What took me so long? Well, beloved, you ought to understand that I have a very, very sick mother. Diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, you name them all. She probably has them all. She's like an all-dressed pizza. And sometimes, because my mom takes a lot of pills for her health, and not just one day, a few times, beloved, I saw my mom acting funny. And I said to myself, those pills are probably too strong for her. Maybe the doctor ought to change the prescription. But I did not know what that acting funny was about. Later on, because here in Montreal, Canada, beloved, you ought to know Caucasian people, unless they are Protestant, and even in Protestant churches, but Caucasian people do not go to church. Most of the churches are immigrant. For immigrant, you seldom see Caucasian people go to church unless they are old Catholics. So later on, I decided if people don't go to church, the church will go to them. I put together a mobile church. But listen, not just some Adventists warming bench, sitting among themselves, preaching to themselves, praying with themselves, ignoring the lost as we have a mission. Matthew 28:18-20, go. Matthew 24:14, and this gospel of the good news shall be preached unto all nations as a testimony, not unto all Adventists, all nations, because our message is inclusive. Romans 10:14, how can they call on the one they haven't heard? And how can they hear if there is no preacher? And how can they preach if they are not sent? You see the message? Our message? Revelation 14:6-7. And I saw an angel flying in midst heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto all nations, tongue, tribes. Not unto all Adventists. You see what our message. So I said to myself, the people don't go to church, I will go. But I don't go to ordinary places. I contacted the prisons. I'm going somewhere. You're going to see where my love began for the medical missionary field. I contacted the prisons, senior residents, shelters where women are hiding because they are beaten by their husband, where young teenagers are pregnant and left alone by their family or society, cast out. I contacted rehab centers. I contacted many places, but one rehab centers, they called me. They said, "Sir, are you alone?" I said, "No, we're a small group. Can you come and provide worship and spiritual aid for our people?" And I said yes. And from now on, I was going to a specific rehab center, which I will not call here. And there I was surprised. I would meet nice, young, and old women there. I would meet senior citizens there. All my preconceived idea of toxicomania, drug addict, were confused now, because I was expecting to see this man with this old beard, stinky hair not done. I was expecting to see that woman dressed as a prostitute with marks in a vein. That's not what I saw at that rehab center. A nice woman dressed. We had men in ties and suit there. What a funny rehab center. And then I started to talk with them because after we were allowed to mingle with them, like Jesus, only method, Ministry of Healing, page 143, Jesus' method is the only one that will bring success. So we mingle. We have lunch with them there because there's a cafeteria and we are invited to lunch every week. We mingle, we have lunch, and I start to talk with people. I'm sorry, miss. Madam, what are you doing here? Well, I'm a CEO of this and that. I'm sorry, sir. What are you doing in such a place? Well, I'm also a CEO on such and such a place. So, what brought you there? Well, I had an accident. I had a car accident, and since then the doctors had prescribed me pills, and I got hooked. I was expecting drugs to be cocaine, to be pot or marijuana, I don't know how you call it in your country, opium, heroin. It never dawned on me that there could be addiction, which they call pharmaco-dependent on drugs, prescribes drugs. And then I thought those people were pulling my leg. I went and talked to the therapist working there, who confirms and start to give me the signs. Because listen, beloved, the drug itself, whether it's pharmacia or hard drugs that they sell out there, the known ones, is just 15% of the problem. The real problem is behavioral, like behavior. Sorry for my French to English. Behavior, behavioral. Okay, maybe I didn't pronounce this right. If it's behavioral, that means it has something to do with the frontal lobe. If it has something to do with the frontal lobe, where all decision of behavior is taken, it has something to do with the blood going from the toe to the brain, which is supposed to take a minute. It has something to do with the second brain, your stomach, where most of the pills goes. There was a man, one day before I left, he said, "Sir, Brother Lionel, please can you buy me a coffee?" And I find that strange. The machine is right there. Why can't you go? Because if they see me go at the machine, I'm kicked out of that rehab center. You see, because every time that man was putting a coin in the machine, coffee machine, it reminds him when he was gambling, putting a coin into the games, which is a placebo effect. So that's when I understand, and I finally understood that when people don't have their dose, just like the crack users, the cocaine users, now I was able, and I was so sad because I was able to understand my mother's behavior. And since then, I've promised myself I'm going to war against Big Pharma. That was mid-1990, not even knowing 1% of what I know about pharmacia, about prophecy, about what I know about drugs, medication, and health, and medical missionary. Without knowing that, I said I'm going to war against Big Pharma. Early 2000, I had read a few books. Ministry of Healing, Consult on Diet and Food. And in our churches, every Sabbath, between Sabbath school and the divine worship, they had a 5-minute health nugget. So I knew very well that health was part of the Adventist faith. But other people would come to me talking about medical missionary work. And I said to myself, who are those people? Because the numbers of people coming to me from churches to churches, not just in my church, because there are a lot of churches in Montreal in the Quebec conference, it was like a handful. So it's not normal. At the old church come to me, I had a lot of persons, just a handful of people in almost every churches I've been. talking to me about medical missionary. So I said to myself, who are these people? Are these people all the travelers of Israel trying to do their own things within the denomination? So before I judge and condemn, I decided to study the matter. So I studied the matter. I saw about the James White, not James White, Kellogg, John Kellogg. I saw what missionaries were about. All they sent missionaries to do the work to help to come to the black people there. All they started to build sanitariums, printing houses. What missionaries about? So it's not the vacation camp. But what those people were bringing to me didn't seem first like what I was reading, but they were right. Wait, they were right though. I didn't know because I did not have all the truth. But then there were ears where they fail. They started to talk to me about natural remedy. Now they got my attention because I was already at war seeing my mother when she was acting funny because she was lacking a dose. This is addiction. She was lacking a dose. So that's when they got my attention. But then they would tell me their natural remedy would be pills. Herbs, they call it. And in my mind, I'm saying, how can you take this herb, this herb, this herb together, compress them so hard that it become a pill? I'm sorry, I'm not buying to this. You heard about processed food? So there must be a process to put, I don't know, if you put 10,000 herbs together and you crush them as much as you can, it will never become a pill. So there must be a process. As a matter of fact, when we're going to talk about the microbiomes, I had a girl I was dating. We would go to the restaurant. After eating, she would say, excuse me, she would go in the washroom and brush her teeth. She would invite me to her house for supper or lunch, whatsoever. Immediately she was done, she would go and brush her teeth. That woman was clean. I have nothing to say against her. However, no matter if she would brush her teeth 4 or 5 times a day, she had a problem. She had a bad breath. And what I'm wondering, how can it be? I'm seeing her eating healthy. I'm seeing everything she does. She conducts herself like a real Seventh-day Adventist waiting for the coming of the Lord. How can this be? And one day, by mistake, she opened a drawer and I was just beside her and I saw all those natural pills bottle. You know what pills do to you? You know what pills do to your microbiomes? Beloved, this is something we will see throughout the series. Now, let me continue. All my love for medical missionary, he grew and got to the point where I am today. 2013, almost end of the year, I had to leave Alberta conference where I was working to come to Quebec conference in Montreal, where I'm actually living now. Upon my arrival, the one who was my pastor before I went to study pastoral ministry in Alberta took me under his wings. So now I was helping him pastoring his church while he was at other churches, because he had 2 other churches, I believe. And year end, New Year's Eve, they held a specific program. And I'm the one doing the sermon. not knowing, because I just arrived not long ago in Quebec conference, not knowing that here in that very same church there was a conference officer sitting there. That person enjoyed my sermon and was greatly blessed by the message. And it so happened a few weeks later, on the New Year's, now we are 2014, I have received a call from that person, that officer, saying there is this great worldwide platform in Adventism looking for a pastor, because they were looking for an evangelist, all right, for looking for an evangelist. And the word, because it's worldwide, by the way, the word got into Quebec conference here. This is my conference here, Quebec conference. And that officer says, well, we have a pastor right here, right now. He's not on the service yet. He has not been contacted by none of the churches yet, by the conference, by us. Use him. So that's how I got to be an evangelist in that worldwide platform for the French area. I held many revival series. I've held many weeks of prayer. I've preached evangelistic campaign. But one day, as I was preaching an evangelistic campaign there, it was time for me to touch the issue, not the issue, but the doctrine of the Sabbath. Wait, beloved, I know you want to hear about missionary. I'm going there. So as a Seventh-day Adventist, as Seventh-day Adventists, we no longer have to open our Bible when it comes to the Sabbath. We can quote those verses by memory from Genesis all the way to Revelation, without forgetting one single verse or passage of the Bible that talks about the Sabbath. So I said to myself, no. Because I've been in present truth also since 2007. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Those people are in the church for 30, 40, 50 years. What new can I teach them about the Sabbath? Let me do something totally altogether different. Let me go see, listen, what the scholars are saying against the Sabbath. So I tuned in YouTube. Don't think I sat in front of my computer, listened to sermon after sermon, what those scholars are saying against the Sabbath. So I go on the house about my business for a few days. YouTube is playing almost 24/7. I'm listening to what scholars are saying against the Sabbath. And then there was a man. Different. He was against the Sabbath, but he held a narrative totally different than all the rest of the people. And now this man has my attention. And then, listening to this man's way of talking, I said to myself, it's impossible. Nobody can talk like that unless it's an ex-Adventist. Sure enough, I hear the word Adventist. Sure enough, I hear the name Ellen G. White. Now I know this man is an ex-Adventist. And I said, wait, now let me investigate on him, because he goes by the name Dr. Sebi. So I go and start to investigate about him. And I saw this man had healed blind people. This man had healed people with cancer and with AIDS. We're talking natural remedy, no pills, not even like those pills that those medical missionaries used to tell me about. Natural remedy. No wonder why this man was always in court fighting against Big Pharma, which he won all the cases. And then I started to do more investigation to find out that this Dr. Sebi never went to medical school. They call him doctor because I thought it was a degree, like a master's degree, PhD. But they called him doctor because of the capacity he had to heal all diseases. And I said, wow. Wow, wow, wow. How can it be? Natural remedy. So I had a girlfriend abroad because I travel a lot, because I was already an evangelist on the south. I contacted her. She was an officer, a church officer at the Paraguay, not a church, but at the conference level on Paraguay. She says, I'm going to Peru. Join me there. There I will introduce you, because she is well known. She has a lot of notoriety. I will introduce you to those people. And I moved to Peru. There I had my training. But listen, the training is 6 weeks. Medical missionary is more than 3 months. Beloved, it's more than 3 months. Don't expect me to give you everything until the 29. Until the 29, it's impossible. It's more than 3 months training, but it was 6 weeks in class, but we were linked with some medical missionary on the field for 6 more weeks. It means 3 months training, beloved. Guess what? Those people we were linked with had between 19 to 23 years old. Those people were healing people cancer. When they go to people's home, they were received as king. People almost bow in front of them to worship them. They are the ones to say, no, it's okay, sir. It's okay, brother. It's okay, sister. I couldn't believe my eyes what I was seeing in Peru. You would have think that it's an old person, senior citizen like Dr. Sebi. This, we're talking about youth, young people, 19 to 23, with average 1 to 3 years in the church. Not somebody who's been in the church for me, like when I was at that time, almost 20 years. No, I think I was 17, 18 years by then in the church. Or people that was in the church for 20, 30, 40 years. We're talking young teenagers, 19 to 23. Doing the work God's way, healing all the way to cancer. I said, wow. Now, I fell in love with the medical missionary line. I came to Canada. I knew none of those people who were telling me about medical missionary knew what they were talking about. And my only desire now was to link up with other medical missionary. I prayed hard for that. And God set the right people on my path. He first hooked me up with people from 19, like I said, till they were about 24 years old or 25, the oldest. 19 young people. And that group still exists till today. It is called Mind of Christ Medical Missionary from Uganda, which leaders is Moses Simondo. That's 2016. 2018, I've met Sister Sandy Edward, but shortly after, I've met Brother Isaac, another youth. I'm praying and God is putting the right people on my path. Brother Isaac, another medical missionary. He is the author of that book, A Kitchen Cabinet Keeper. 49 pages. I've read it all, beloved. There is cure we do with poultices, but you have to know how many of each to put. Everything is detailed, and as a matter of fact, this book is a free donation for those of you who will contact me. And for those of you not yet Adventists, we have a book called The Great Controversy. I'm sorry, this one is French. Totally free. You see, we give a gift away also. So that's all my love with the medical missionary began and grew. But at my mother not being sick, I would not start to seek answer and solution. You see, all things work for good for those who are called by God according to his purpose. Not the sickness of my mother is not a good thing, but our inside the bad thing, there is always a white dot to find. That little white dot can bring you far. Can bring you far. So having said that, beloved, without further ado, let me introduce to you the program for this weekend, and all the way, if possible, till Monday. I'll try not to pass Monday because I know many of you have to go to work, so the view is going to be less. The program, our first message event tonight, I'm going to give you 2 hours break because this is officially starting. Our first message teaching moment will be what is true medical missionary work. Now, the word true implies something. What is true medical missionary work? The word true implies there is a false. For every great truth, Bible truth in the Bible, Satan has a counterfeit. But praise be unto God. The medical missionary work is the only work I have not found a counterfeit. What about New Age, Brother Lionel? Hypnosis, yoga, Kundalini yoga. Everybody knows this has nothing to do. Acupuncture, hypnosis, this not even. What about the faith healer? Well, bring the faith healers in the hospital and tell them to heal. You will see this is nonsense. A counterfeit, it's something that is so close to the truth that even the very elect could be seduced. All right, so we get this straight. Our next preaching moment will be, because I will do preaching also. This is my gift, don't take it away from me. But we ought to teach, because the spirit of prophecy is clear. We are more in need of teaching than we are in need of preaching. So our next message training session will be the medical missionary work in the first angel's message. And then we're gonna have a special guest speaker. I've told you about her before, Sister Michelle Hill. A new start. Please do not confound with the new start. This one is not the new start, it's a new start. Oh, it's powerful. Beloved, do not miss Sister Hill's message. It's a very, very powerful message. All right, and then we have medical missionary, doing the right disease and causes before Michelle Hill. Disease and causes, doing the right assessment. All right. After that, we have God's natural remedy versus big pharmakia. We're going to see the difference between the two. We have hydrotherapy coming next. We got the forgotten work in the medical missionary line, because there are different branch, but there was one specific forgotten work that is forgotten. We have diet and food. We have demon possess. Beloved, don't miss this one, because if you think demon possess mean being tied up in a bed with this thing coming out of your mouth and you levitate, it's because you watch too much television. Why do you have to call a Catholic priest to do exorcism? Stop watching television. Stop. I've been ministering, like I said, the mobile church. I went to places where they say the people are crazy. I don't know how you call those places in English. Is it called asylum? I'm not sure. Well, don't quote me on this. I'm not sure. I've been in those kind of places. Ponoka in Alberta. Louis H. Lafontaine here in Montreal. Now, we have people, demon possessed people, but it goes under a medical name. And they are making the situation worse by giving them, feeding them with pills and pills and pills. And then we got a Q&A about country living. It's going to be in French. We're going to have exercises, poultices, many more. So be with us. Be with us. Do not miss none of the training session of this School of the Prophet seminar training session. Be with us. Again, we thank every one of you. We thank the team, and I want to take the moment to thank one of of my friends. Is Muslim. Beloved, we receive a lot of donation, not a lot, but we receive some donation here. It's people who have pledged to help out. You know why? Because they see something tangible and they believe in what we're doing. Did you know that most of those people are Muslim? I do have OBS on my laptop. It was downloaded for me, and I've tried many times to connect the PowerPoint and my face, a little bit like David Barron is doing, like Nader Mansour is doing, like Emmanuel Nuguez is doing. I just can't. The modern technology is not my cup of coffee. So in order to bring you these messages, look. You can see my face and I can see my PowerPoint with that. Muslim. I ain't gonna talk more. I will let you think. I will let your conscience go. So, beloved, if you want to help out, there is 3 dots on top of 3 video. Make that that seminar session go viral. Go viral, please. Make it go viral. This is a time where Seventh-day Adventists must embrace that work, because soon there will be no other work done except the medical missionary line. Too much pastors, not enough money to pay them. Too much pastors, 3/4 of them, maybe more, are in apostasy. And truth matters. We will see about truth, beloved, in our series. When we talk about the mind, we will see about the truth. So please be with us. Again, I will give you an appointment in 2 hours for the first part of our preaching moment. What is true medical missionary? Take care. I'll see you later soon. Bye-bye.